Reneus was told that he had to go to the works to be mended. He was most upset, and the thin controller had to get an engine to do his work. So one morning he came to the sheds. As you all know, Reneus is away to the works to be mended, and he will not be back until tomorrow night. Hopefully they're able to repair him, sighed Skarloey. Now, Rusty, you will pull his trains until he returns. No problem, sir, said Rusty cheerfully. I am more than happy to help. So later that day, he collected Reneus's first train. Toot toot! All aboard, please! He shouted. The coaches were surprised. Phew! That smell! That is disgusting! Gasped the coach. Rusty was hurt. I know, the smell is horrible, but at least it's not as bad where I am. You're right behind it. Why's a smelly diesel like you here to pull us? We want Reneus, Skarloey, or Peter Sam. Well, you've got me, sighed Rusty. I hope the passengers aren't choked with your diesel fumes like we are. Rusty, just ignore them, said his driver. Come on, coaches. If we just do our work, we will get along just fine. Oh, we will get along just fine, all right. Don't you worry about that. So the guard blew his whistle, and then Rusty started pulling the train. Halfway through the journey, the coaches started bumping Rusty. Stop it! Shouted Rusty. You're bumping the passengers. At last they arrived at the station. The passengers were furious. That was the worst train ride I ever had, one said. Blame that diesel. It obviously doesn't know how to pull trains properly. The passengers are complaining to the station master, Rusty, said his driver. They were bumping me, sighed Rusty. You do know that, driver, don't you? Of course, Rusty. Don't worry. That night, the thin controller went to see the coaches. There have been complaints from the passengers. They said they were bumped during their whole journey today. Yes, they were. And so were we. It was terrible. What do you mean? The thin controller asked. That Rusty gave us a terrible time today, cried one of the coaches. What do you mean? I was talking to Rusty's driver, and he said that yous were bumping Rusty. Drivers can be fooled by their engines. Rusty hasn't liked us. He called us horrible names today. And it was him that bumped us. The thin controller was surprised. What sort of horrible names? He called us old and weak, and he also said that we look and smell like manure trucks. We've never been bullied like that by an engine before. You're lucky you're not a truck. Engines look down at us all the time. I will go and speak to Rusty at once, replied the thin controller. When he left, the coaches smirked at each other. Soon the thin controller arrived at the engine sheds, and the thin controller told Rusty what the coaches had said. No, sir, I didn't say that. Nonsense! There's no way Rusty would say something like that, said Skarloey crossly. Rusty is the most nicest diesel on this railway. Agreed, said Sir Handel. I know those coaches. They are no good at all. In my opinion, they will always be cattle trucks. No need for that, Sir Handel. Rusty, I don't know who to believe at all. I just don't know. So further investigations are going to go into this matter. As you wish, sir. The next morning, the coaches were waiting on the platform. There he is, laughed the coaches. Rusty just ignored them, and he left. strangely, the coaches behaved. "The coaches are behaving," Rusty whispered to his driver. But the coaches had a plan. When Rusty got to the hill, they pulled back. "Hold back! Hold back!" they laughed. Suddenly, one of the couplings snapped, and Rusty had no idea as he pulled into the station on the top of the hill. His driver looked back. "One of the coaches and the guard's van is missing, Rusty." "Oh no! When the coaches pulled back in the hill, a coupling must have snapped." Rusty was very worried. "If the coach broke free in the hill, Rusty, that means the passengers are in real danger." "Rusty, you have a coach behind you, so I will race after them and see if they're okay." "Oh, Sir Handel, if you would, that would be brilliant." "Right, I must hurry." So Sir Handel raced after them. The coach was worried. "Someone help me!" The passengers were scared as well, and so was the guard. Sir Handel raced after them as fast as he could. There was trouble. The points had been changed, and the track was leading to the edge of a very high cliff. Everyone screamed in horror. Everyone was in terrible trouble. The guard's van was hanging over the cliff. "Oh no! Oh no!" cried the coach. The guard was trapped in the van. Then Sir Handel arrived. "Are you pleased with yourself?" he said crossly to the coach. "Please help me. Oh, and my passengers too. Please help my passengers." Sir Handel's driver coupled them to the coach, and then he made sure the coupling was safe in the guard's van. And then Sir Handel started pulling. It was very hard work, but Sir Handel finally pulled the guard's van back onto the rails. The passengers and the guard were relieved. The coach smiled. "Thank you, Sir Handel. I am very grateful." "Why did you say all those horrible things about Rusty?" "Well, we were bored." "You bullied Rusty because you were bored, and nearly caused a nasty accident?" We will apologize to Rusty," said the coach. "And I should think so too." And that night, all the engines were waiting for Rheneas to return home. And the thin controller told Sir Handel and Rusty that they would both get new coats of paint. And then Rheneas came home. All the engines were delighted. "I missed all of you," said Rheneas, "and it is nice to be home." And everyone agreed, especially Rusty. "I would do every odd job there is to do in this railway, if it means I never have to pull those two horrible coaches again." And then all the engines sat happily in the sheds.